Hey guys, Loves to Loom here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this really cute Rococo bracelet designed by Forrest Hook. He does have his own YouTube channel, which I will link down below, but he's going to be on vacation this week, so I'm kind of filling in for him. I think this is a really cute design, and I wouldn't classify it as really hard, but I think it might be easier for some if you use colors that are a little closer to mine until you at least know what the pattern is. So with that being said, you will want to have a double-ended hook today and one C-clip, and then we can go ahead and get started. So to get started, grab your double-ended hook, and we're going to choose a few colors. The very first color is going to be my yellow, and then the light glow pink, and the dark pink, in that order. So I'll grab my yellow first. We're going to start by twisting it on, creating a cat band, and then we're going to grab another yellow. We're going to pull that through the whole cat band, but before closing it off, you're going to grab the outer part of that cat band, get it back on your hook, close it off, and leave it in that order. We're going to grab the glow pink now. We're going to pull this through the first two. You're going to skip the first one and pick up the outer one, and then close off that pink. We're going to choose our second color now. Well, technically it's the third, but we're going to grab the hot pink now. Once again, we're going to pull it through the first two, skip the first band, pick up the outer one, and close it off. Slide it down and turn it around. And before we start adding bands on this side, we're going to open it back up. So grab the first band, open it up, and scoop up the other part of that cat band. Close it back off, keeping it in that order. We're going to grab the light glow color first, same colors as we did on the right. We're going to pull it through two, skip the first, pick up the outer yellow, close it off. We're going to grab the dark pink. We're going to pull it through two, skip the first, pick up the outer one, and close it. So it looks like this right now. Now we're going to grab a new color. That's going to be the turquoise jelly that sits right down in here. We're going to be pulling this through the first six. We're going to skip the first two closest to our hook. We're going to pick up all of the rest. So we're picking up the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Close off that turquoise. And we are going to want it to be the third band in. So I'm going to just pop the two outer ones out so that it sits like that. You do want to make sure that these two bands stay in that order in front of that jelly. But we're going to start pulling some yellow through. So specifically 3 yellow for this side. When we pull the first one through, they do kind of want to pop out of order. So when we pull the yellow through, we are going to be reclaiming all of the outside 4 bands. This is the only one we're not going to be reclaiming, that glow one. But again, sometimes it wants to get out of order, so make sure that is the one that is dropping down and that you're not reclaiming that one. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to grab my first yellow and I'm going to pull it through the first 5. We're going to skip that first band I was telling you about, and now we're going to pick up the remaining 4. Close off the yellow. We want the yellow to be sitting as the third band in, so pop these two right here to the outside, like that. And now you want to make sure that this hot pink is in front of that jelly, like mine is, but sometimes it wants to pop over it like that. So just make sure it's in that order before you pull your next yellow through. So I'm going to grab my second yellow. We're going to pull this once again through the first 5. We're going to skip the first one, which is that hot pink. You may have to pull it back with your hook, and we're going to pick up the remaining 4. Close the yellow off. And once again, we're going to rearrange so that it's the third band in. So just pop these two to the outside, like that. I'm going to grab my last yellow for this side. We're going to pull it through the first 5. We're going to skip over the first 2 and we're going to pick up the remaining 3. Close off the yellow. And one last time, we're going to rearrange so that it's the third band in. Like that. It is a little squished, but it will fix itself after the next step. So we're going to continue adding bands onto the side. And the first color that I'm going to use, I use the same color that I used right here in the center. We call it the accent band. So I'm going to add that right now and grab that jelly. We're going to pull this through the first 4. We're going to skip the first, pick up the second, skip the third, and pick up the outer one. Close it off. We're now going to grab the 2 colors that we used down here. So the first one is going to be the glow. The second one is going to be the hot pink. So we're going to pull this through the first 3. We're going to pick up the first and then skip the middle one and pick up the outside one and close it off. Grab the hot pink now. We're going to pull it through 3 again. And this time we're just skipping the first and just picking up the outside 2 and close it off. The last band that we're going to add on this side is going to be the accent band again, so my jelly. We're going to pull it through 3 and we're just going to close it off without picking anything up. So that's why I recommend using colors similar to mine, because it can be kind of hard to keep up with all the different colors. But we're going to turn it around, flip it and turn it around, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. So we do have to do one extra step because we have to get these 2 bands back on our hook. If you feel comfortable pinching these 3, taking it off, you can do that. Or you can just grab one of your bands. You're going to pull it through the first 3 temporarily, like that. Grab that entire band that you just pulled through, pinch it, take it off, and now we can scoop down and pick those 2 bands back up. Attach the yellow back on. And now, because we need to get rid of this yellow band, we're going to open it up and we're going to scoop those 3 bands back up and get them on our get them on our hook. And it should look like this. And now we are ready to start adding the yellow bands on this side. Just make sure that they did not get out of order right here. You see how my teal is in front of those 2? And this is the part where you want to watch that these 2 don't get out of order when we pull the first yellow through. Because we will be pulling 3 through like we did on the other side. So we will start by pulling it through the first 5. We're going to skip the first and we're going to pick up the remaining 4. Close the yellow and rearrange the yellow to be the 3rd band in. I'm going to pull on my hot pink because that needs to stay in front of my jelly like that. I'm going to grab my second yellow for this side. And once again, we're going to pull it through the first 5. We're going to skip the first, which should be the hot pink, and we're going to pick up the remaining 4. Close it off. Rearrange it so it is the 3rd band in, like so. And we're going to pull our last yellow through for this side, pulling it through the first 5. Skip over the first 2 and pick up the outside 3. Close it off and rearrange it so it's the 3rd band in, like so. So we now have to add our outer bands on. So the first one is going to be my jelly. Pulling it through the first 4. We're going to skip the first. We're going to pick up the second and also pick up the very outside band and then close it off. I'm going to grab my glow band now. We're going to pull that through 3. We're going to pick up the first and also pick up the outside band again and close it off. We're going to pull through my hot pink, pulling it through 3 again. We're going to skip the first and we're going to pick up the outside 2 bands. Close off the hot pink. And finally for this side, our last accent band, we're going to pull it through 3 and close it off. I know that was a lot, you guys. So now what we're going to do is cross the very 2 yellows in the middle. For this first row, it doesn't matter which direction you cross these two, it will be the remaining rows that we have to make sure it's always crossed in the same direction. So we're only crossing the two middle ones like that. I'm going to hold my finger there so they don't get out of order. So now I'm going to grab the first color that I used down here, which is where my glow is. So I'm going to grab that. We're going to pull this through the first 8. And the only bands that we're going to be reclaiming are the very outside 2. So skip over everything, pick up the outside 2, close it off. And this part right here is what I would say is the trickiest, because you have to keep that glow band in front of the jelly. So I use my finger and hold it, but when we do the next step, we're going to need to reclaim that little band right there. And sometimes you have to use your hook to like move the jelly out of the way in order to grab that. So I do have to kind of do it fast, or it's a little hard to do. So the next band that we're going to be pulling through is my hot pink. And we're just going to be pulling it. I do kind of like pinch it to try not to lose the order, so you can try pinching it too. And we're going to pull this hot pink through the first 3. We're going to skip over the 2 jelly and only reclaim that outside band, which again is a little tricky to get it. And it should look like that after you get it back on. We're going to come over to the other side, so slide it down, turn it around, and I'm going to show you that again on this side. So once again, I'm going to grab my glow pink. We're going to pull this through the first 8. We're going to skip over everything and only pick up the outside 2 bands, which are my jellies. Close that off, but keep that order. Grab my hot pink. And as I suggested, you might want to kind of pinch right under it to keep that from coming out of order. We're going to pull this through the first 3. And then we're going to reclaim that outside glow pink. Like that. And close it off. So we're at the beginning of the pattern again. This is where it will repeat. So I'm going to go through this again with you. We're going to start by grabbing that jelly band that's sitting in the middle under there. We're going to pull it through the first 6. We're going to skip the first 2 closest to our hook, and we're going to pick up the outside 4. Close off that jelly and rearrange it so it's the 3rd band in. Like that. We're going to pull 3 yellows on each side. So remember, the first one that you pull through, keep an eye on this first glow band right here. That's the one that we're not going to reclaim. We will be picking everything else back up, but sometimes they want to pop out of order, so just watch that. So we're going to pull this first one through the first 5. We're going to skip that first glow band and pick up the outside 4. Close it off. And we want the yellow to be the 3rd band in, so you're going to rearrange these 2 so that it sits like that. And then over here, my hot pink should actually be in front of my jelly. So I'm going to pop that back over it. So it's crossed over like that. Grab your next yellow. And once again, we're going to pull it through the first 5. You're going to skip the first, which is the hot pink, and pick up the remaining 4. Close off the yellow and rearrange it so that it's the 3rd band in. We're going to pull our last yellow through. So once again, we're going to pull this through the first 5. We're going to skip over the first 2, and then we're going to pick up the remaining 3 bands. Close that yellow off and rearrange it so it's the 3rd band in. So now we're going to start out adding our outside bands. So the first one is going to be our accent jelly. That's going to go through the first 4. We're going to skip over the first, and we're going to pick up the 2nd and also the outside band and close it off. Our glow band is the next one we're going to pull through, and that's going to go through the first 3. We're going to be picking up the first band and the last band. So this first one, skip the middle, pick up the last one and close it. Now I'm going to grab my hot pink. We're going to pull it through 3. We're going to skip over the first and pick up the outside 2 bands. Close that off. And the last band for this side is going to be the accent color again. So I'm going to grab my jelly and pull it through the first 3 and then just close it off without picking up anything else. Slide it down and turn it around. And this is where we have to get these 2 bands back on our hook. So to do that, we're going to temporarily grab another band. We're going to pull it through these 3, close the yellow off. You're going to need to pinch that yellow band, grab both of them, open it up, and scoop those 2 bands, my pinks right here, back onto the hook, and then apply the yellow back on. We need to get rid of that yellow band, so we're going to open up one of them this time. And then you're going to scoop those 3 bands back on the hook and pull the yellow out. So you just want to make sure that your order is correct. It should be your dark pink and then the light pink and then the jelly. So with it in that order, we're going to start pulling our yellows through. So we're going to pull this yellow through the first 5. We're going to skip the first, pick up the remaining 4, close it off, and rearrange it so it's the 3rd band in. So our next yellow is going to go through the first 5 again. We're going to skip the first, which should be the hot pink, and pick up the outside 4. Close the yellow off and rearrange it so it's the 3rd band. And finally our last yellow. Pull it through the first 5. We're going to skip the first 2 and pick up the outside 3. Close it off and rearrange it so it's the 3rd band. So we're going to start adding the outside bands like we did over here. So we will first grab our jelly, pull it through the first 4. We're going to skip the first and we're going to pick up the 2nd band and also the very outside band. Close it off. I'm going to grab my glow and pull that through the first 3. We need to pick up the first band and the very outside band. So we're skipping the middle. Close that off, grabbing my hot pink. Once again, we're going to pull this through the first 3. We're going to skip the first and pick up the outside 2 and close it off. And the last band for this side is going to be the accent jelly band again. And we're going to pull that through the first 3 and then just close it without reclaiming anything. And this is what it should look like. So this is where we need to cross the very 2 middle yellows, but you want to look down here and make sure that you cross it in the same direction. So I need to grab this 3rd yellow right here and cross it over top of that one. My left should be crossing over the right so that it matches down here. So if you are repeating these steps right now, if you're rewinding it and repeating it, just make sure that you're paying attention to whatever direction your cross should be in. And now we are going to grab our glow pink. And this is going to be pulled through the first 8 bands. And then we're just going to reclaim the very outside 2. Close it off. But keep it in that order. This is the part that's a little tricky. We're going to be pulling a hot pink through. And this is where I do try to pinch right here to try to keep them in that order because we're going to need to pick up that outside band. So pull this through the first 3. Pull those back with your hook if you have to reclaim the outside one and close it. It should sit like that. We're going to do the same to the other side. So slide it down and turn it around. I'm going to grab my glow pink again. And we're going to pull it through the first 8 and pick up the very outside 2. close it off. Keep it in that order. We're going to grab a hot pink. We're going to pull it through the first 3 and reclaim the outside band. It's kind of tucked in there, so just get it as quickly as you can. And now we are back here, which is the start of the pattern again. So you guys are going to go ahead and go to this timestamp right here. It's going to pick up right where we're leaving off, and you're just going to keep repeating those same instructions until your bracelet's long enough to fit your wrist. Once it's long enough to fit and we're back at this point, I'm going to show you how to close it off. So you're going to want to grab whatever color you used right here for the center, and that's yellow for me. So we're going to be pulling this through the first 6. And then we're going to skip the middle 4 and just pick up the very outside 2. Close off the yellow and pull the yellow so that it sits in the middle like that. We're going to grab another yellow and we're going to pull it through the first 3 and then close it off. Slide it down and turn it around so we can do this side. We're going to grab a yellow and pull it through the first 3. So now all we need to do is grab one more yellow and we're going to pull it through all 4 that are on our hook and bring both ends together, and that is the closure. You would just attach your C-clip right there. So of course your bracelet's going to look a lot better and longer than mine, but that is how you make the Rococo bracelet created by Forrest Hook. Don't forget to tag him over on Instagram if you do make one, and also myself, Loves to Loom. You can also hashtag Rococo bracelet. That will be it for today, you guys. I thank you so much for watching, and I do appreciate it. I will see you very soon at my next tutorial. Thanks, guys. Bye.